Again for the second half, and before we do so, we'll just John Angus will see how well you're all listening to his extremely entertaining presentation of the first half, and very knowledgeable and interesting presentation. So off you go.
I was going to sort of hand out some paper. So anyway, this test,
you can trust the people in this room.
So this sort of tests how well you've been listening. Anyway, so I've got 10 questions here, and there were some bonus points. So the first one was, and there are 3 answers to this one. So what is the connection between the 268 marches, Angus MacKinnon and Donald Smith? Yep, that's one.
Both born in the same place.
What was it?
Angus MacKinnon was made by a bloke called Ramsey, wasn't he?
Both born in the same place, South US. Yep, both were policemen. There's one more.
Angus MacKinnon, a friend of Angus MacKinnon's a friend of your dad.
Yep.
Angus MacKinnon wrote Angus MacKinnon.
Correct. Yep. So that's all 3. Yes. So I've given all this information in the first half. So you've been listening. That's 3. Yep. When did John MacDonald, Shani Rochang, Pipe Major John MacDonald, Glasgow Police, succeed Willie Gray as Pipe Major of the Glasgow Police?
1935.
No.
Something.
33. Correct. Okay, what was the original name for the sands of Loch Bee? Loch Bee, by the way, is in the northern part of South Uist.
That's the Dark Island.
Dark
Island.
No.
Shores.
Andrew's got it. Yeah, the Glasgow Police March Past. Okay, composed by John. Actually, with the Dark Island, there's a chap called Ian McLaughlin who played at my parents' wedding, who took credit for that. It went on to a big series on television.
Yeah, he was playing it.
Yeah, and he got all the royalties for it, but it was actually composed by a chap called Lachlan Ban McCormick, wasn't it, from Benbecula, and they're a different name. Everyone knows Anne Mackenzie is married to Ian MacDonald. That's her grandfather. So she's got a good, great grandfather, I think. That's the line there. So. These lines are very important for us in South Uist. Mine is the Smiths of Hamor. We go back quite a few generations. So where was my mother born?
No. Okay.
Okay, what do Donald Morrison, Angus J. McClellan, Willie Morrison, Roddy MacDonald, so that's Roddy, Willie's son who used to be in London is now in Australia, and I all have in common?
Left-handed.
Angus Young.
It's not quite right, that.
I know Roddy's actually ambidextrous.
Okay, but I haven't heard the right answer yet, though.
You went to school together.
Play the pipes on the right.
Correct. Play the pipes on the right shoulder, because just because we play on the right shoulder doesn't mean right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a very South Uist thing. It was so isolated. I'm actually right-handed, but was taught to play the pipes. My father was insistent there'd be a left-handed pipe in every generation of Smiths. And if you look at all the South Uist pipers, Willie Morrison, look at Willie MacDonald from Benbecula, Donald Morrison, Angus J with his connections. Shani Rochin played on the left shoulder, not on the right, so just in case you. Okay. What did Willie John Macaulay feel passionate about?
Dogs.
The painting.
Painting. Oh, right. That's the other passionate. Okay.
What is the name of the painting?
Chloe's Passion.
Chloe's passion for Willie John Macaulay. And where can you find Chloe?
Melbourne, on the wall.
On the wall?
Yeah, which pub?
Australia.
Okay. The bonus for Young and Jackson's pub. Quite well known pub actually. Anyway, it's their feuds. Who composed Angus John McNeill of Barra?
Himself.
Correct. If you remember, it was unnamed. It was he died at sea, and it's an unnamed manuscript. So On what did Donald Morrison compose the jig Donald, Willie and his dog?
Cigarette packet.
Sort of. Not
First
entirely.
the first three parts.
So where did he compose it?
In the back of the packet.
Top of a mountain somewhere in southern Mist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was out on the hills near the Hoyner in the mid part of South. There was three sort of bends there. But not all of it. Where did he compose the last part? Correct. There you go. So that was my quiz. You've all been listening. So that's pretty good.
Well done, John Angus. A couple of quick questions for you whilst you're here. Firstly, perhaps you'd like to tell the assembled people here tonight about your instrument, what setup you've got at the moment. What's your
Well, I changed my setup last year. One of the things about my playing, I always, on the positive side, I always I generally get credited for playing very musically. On the negative side, I've been hammered for not playing with a big enough drone set. So with that, I used to play a set of Athertons, a lovely set of Cokes with Athertons, and before that a set of old lorries which I bought from Donald Bay, the New Zealand gold medalist. So I was on the lookout for another set of pipes. I bought that pipe in Glasgow, the pipe that I'm playing tonight, in Glasgow last summer. From a lady who had been in a loft for years and years and years and years. It was on sale at the College of Pipe. It's a 1927, the hallmark and the silver is 1927 Peter Henderson bagpipe. So, and I've not, a lot of these old bagpipes, a lot of people sort of substitute a more modern sort of bottom section of the bass to give it a sharper sound. I've not done that. I don't really feel the need to do it. So to be fair, it's taken me a wee while to sort of get used to it, and I'm still sort of getting there. But so that's the drones, and that's why I changed, and that's why I've changed the drones, because with the Atherton pipe that I had, it was like, you know, some people loved them, some people just, you know, I was just getting hammered too much of the time. And frankly, when you put a lot of time into competing, and if that's your thing, you know, then you know you don't want to sort of. If you have a good tune, and we don't always have good tunes, you know, some days you're good, some days you're not so good, and that's just the way it goes. But you know, the last thing you want to be done is be hammered for your instrument, and so I decided to make a change. So I'm playing a shepherd charmer, an old shepherd charmer. It's about 15 years old. I play, because I'm a wet blower, I play a synthetic bag. I've got one of William McCullum's new sort of bags with a sort of slightly different shapes, a tucked-in shape under the neck of the bag. I generally do 1 week's teaching a year overseas at workshops. I've stopped recently because I got too busy, but for a couple of years I was teaching with Willie out in Austria, and he was just at the time he was sort of developing these, and it's quite good actually. I think it helps me, because one of the things I find as I've got older, I find you know it's harder work on your fingers. Just all these little things sort of help, and Willie was going through the same. We always got on very well. So he explained his logic behind putting it together. So I've gone for the just trying out this new Banter moisture control system. Only stuck it in sort of a week ago, ago. The only reason so it's these sort of these sort of gel silicon I think, or capsules that you can see. Just you can actually see the moisture sort of the state of the moisture. So it's just more visible as to when the device needs changing. So and reeds, I have no idea what my giant reed is. I play a sort of Troy. No, there won't be Troys. Troys are just coming. It'll either be you know, Jack Lee reed or a who did I get a load from? Yeah, G1. I think it's a Jack Lee reed. I think. I'm massively happy with it, but it did for that now and then. Just easy drones and the new Kinect base. So that's the setup at the moment.
Good. You've mentioned a lot of the influences that you had from the South US pipers. in the family and family friends and this sort of thing. Now I understand as well, I mean, when you and I used to be adversaries years back, that at that point you were getting tuition from Tony MacDonald. Is that correct?
Yeah, well,
So you were getting some help from Tony?
Yeah. Certainly when me and my brothers were in our teens, we were all getting light music tuition from Tony. We used to go around there and sit around the table with a chap called David Service. And actually, what Tony used to have us, we were lifting a £56, we used to start off by lifting 56, I mean, you know this, but a £56 weight out in the back of the garden. We'd go over there and it would be, and Tony was a special forces soldier. He could sort of, you know, he never lost it. And so we used to do that for a bit of exercise and then sit around the table. You know, he was very good at teaching technique and at teaching music. We never got our sound from him, and we never got people from him. But light music and attitude, absolutely. You know, that bloke was we were at his funeral and it was just fantastic. Really, as you were, really, it was just he was a fantastic teacher. You know, I mean, I owe the quality of my technique to Tony.
Later on, I think you got some light music from Willie Morrison.
Still going to Willie, yeah, when I can make it up to Scotland, yeah.
And Pembroke from Ronnie as well.
Well, I started Pembroke with a chap called Colin Beaton, who was taught by Bob Nicol in South US. And then, I don't know if you remember Alec MacDonald, old Alec, who was the Queen's Piper who lived out in Windsor. Me and my brothers went out to Alec for a few years. And then the story about going to Royal Morrison is an interesting one because it was back in 1990, and I've just been downgraded by the CPA. I latterly became president of, but that year I was downgraded to C, and I was really not happy. So I bought this Donald McPherson tape. I don't know if any of you have got it, but these 5 pipers playing on a boat.
Oh yes.
And I literally I went in for the B&C grade competition at Scottish Pipers, and I literally had Donald McPherson's version of Lady Macdonald's and Lent. I'd listened to nothing for about a month, and I went up there and I won the B&C grades, and I thought, okay, well, I've got some ability. So I went down and spoke to my dad, and we'd sort of seen sort of Ronald knocking around. And my dad knew, you know, the South US connection is important to me just in terms of the lineage. I know where Ronald got his Pembroke from. The problem with Ronnie was that he's just one of life's more controversial characters, to put it mildly. And so I spoke to my old man, and he said, well, you know, the MacDonald, and this is how well people knew each other up there. He said, oh well, the Morrisons of Gearish, they were wild. And you know, that was absolutely true about Ronnie. Ronnie had fantastic knowledge. He was a great teacher. He was a good player in his day and a musical player, but he wasn't a great player. He was taught. He was in the class in the 20s and 30s. John MacDonald in the Nest used to come over to South US, and he was in the class of people that went to John MacDonald. So that's where he got a lot of his tuition. And then in Glasgow, of course, he was in the Harp, and he got on well with people like Lord Reed, all these sort of people. I used to go to his flat, and used to, what I used to do is I used to get the bus up overnight on a Friday, walk out to party, go for my hour or two there, get some soup from Mrs. Morrison, go down to the Park Bar afterwards and have a beer, and then get on the bus that night and come home. That's how I got my stuff. And so, you know, I was motivated, you have to be motivated. And Ronnie, if you weren't playing well, Ronnie would get up and he'd his fist in my face, you know, go, come on now, Smith, laugh. Very inspiring character, very, very inspiring character. And then he died back in '94, and it's funny because, you know, 3 months before his death, it was clear he wasn't well, so we were talking about who I would go to next, and it was his Robert Wallace was his recommendation. Now, Robert's a fiery, interesting character, as probably most of you know. So he's not exactly a diplomat, but, you know, he has got a great knowledge of music, like many people in Scotland, and you know, I've got fairly thick skin, I can manage, you know. mean, I've been in this. I'm sorry to sort of go.
No.
But you know, I've been bollocked by Robert before I've actually started playing. You know, and I've gone up there well prepared, and you know, I've just been bollocked. But, you know, I've been. But I sort of don't take to this really very well. And there was one day which you know, he just let me have it, and I said, no, I'm not having this. And I've come up here well prepared, so you know, I'm just not having it. You're out of order. So he sat there and said, oh well, all right then. So and I knew I was playing well, so up went the pipe, and he's got this habit of taking his shoes off. And he'll sit behind the desk and he'll cross his legs and sort of go like this. You know, and you know, he's got his, and he didn't say a word. He just got up and he opened the door in his office in the college. You know, just sort of, you know, and that was, you know, it was as if, yeah, well, okay, that's good, yeah, playing well, and you know, you just got to stand your ground. You know, so I sort of, you know, when you deserve it, like anything in life, you take it, but it's not. So I get lessons from him on FaceTime, and I go up there. I'll be heading up next weekend, try and get some time with him.
And a quick question to finish with. 2 terms as president of the CPA.
Well, no, I did 1 term and I did an extra year. Yeah.
What do you consider your lasting legacy? You've left the CPA with all the competing pipe in the world.
Well, you know, yeah, he's on the committee now. It's very much a team thing, and I had a good, you know, team that worked with me, both in the committee and the grading committee as well. William Cullen was the chairman of the grading committee for all of the time that I was president, and we worked really well together with that team. So it's not me, it's we. And what we did, the biggest thing that we did, and I was in China on the phones all the time, but it really was the reinvigoration of the C grade into a proper competing grade. So there was therefore, you know, we didn't lose youngsters as they came through, or people coming into competitive piping, and the establishment of the C grade competition infrastructure at the major games. You know, so there's that. You know, there's now a C grade championship in the same way as a B grade championship around Scotland. And we got a lot of help from support from Glenfiddich and the competitions themselves. So as we explained, so there was a lot of work went into explaining the concept and explaining why we wanted to have it and the importance of it. Because actually what went on at the same time, I wasn't very popular as well as we actually downgraded a lot of players because there was the grading wasn't. The grading of pipe was just the distribution couldn't support it. So in order to create a pyramid structure where you've got sort of more at the bottom grade and, you know, less coming to the top, you have to support that with an infrastructure. And I remember coming back from China, because I was working in China at the time, and I remember sort of walking onto the field at Inverary and just, you know, walking around first thing in the morning and seeing all these kids competing in the seas. And I thought, you know, isn't that just fantastic? So the team did a great job. The competitions supported us, and then Glenfiddich supported us, and it was, you know, so that was the big thing that happened during my term. I don't take any particular credit for that. It was a team that actually did all of that work. You know, I just happened to be the, you know.
Well, knowing most of the other people on the team at the time, I think they would say that your leadership certainly inspired that. So I think you don't be too modest about it.
Well, the important thing is we got it done, and it's now. Well, the great thing about it is it's part of the infrastructure. You know, when we talk about making a contribution, we all made a contribution. It's there and it's stuck. That's the most important thing. It's absolutely stuck, which is fantastic. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, John Angus is getting his pipe together again, the second half.